Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. This is Katania Alvin from London, and I have here from the Schiller Institute a very interesting video, Battle for a New Paradigm, American Republic versus Exposed British Empire. Well, I've just read, my last video was I've just read the article that was written, so now I'm going to play the video. Everything will be in the description
Hello,
box.
I'm Harley Schlanger from the Schiller Institute. Welcome to our webcast with our founder and president, Helga Zepp-LaRouche. Today is July 7th. We're coming off a week of extraordinary activity that seems to be continuing, and we're also watching as the British naturally are moving for destabilization. Helga, why don't we start with this fairly extraordinary report in the Daily Mail of the cable traffic from the British ambassador in Washington back to the Foreign Office, deriding and derisively attacking the Trump administration. What do you make of that?
Well, we have to see, because the big question actually is who leaked this thing which can hurt and will hurt in all likelihood the so-called special relationship between the United States and Great Britain. Now, this is a fairly incredible story where the British ambassador in Washington, Sir Kim Darroch, basically sent way back to in 2017 and later cables to the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, basically describing Trump as incapable, inept, deriding him in all kinds of ways, but also basically, having some real leaks of what, the British idea is. For example, they say that this ambassador says that he doesn't believe the reason why Trump supposedly called off the military strike against Iran 10 minutes before, that he finds it quite incredible that it was because of 150 casualties. In any case, he says you can have a U-turn again in no time if there's another Iranian attack anywhere, and if one single American life is the casualty, you could have another, basically a military attack. Now, that sounds...
This is how Britain got the Americans into war, through Pearl Harbor. That was all planned. They knew that attack was coming. Okay. And they knew it was the very thing that actually, when Americans were killed, America would go into the war. The British are evil-minded war makers, and we have to find a way to stop this. And this is why I've put the link in the description box regarding the Metamorphosis event, because the more of us that can change our thinking and realize how powerful we are to help to make these positive changes, to bring love where there is deceit. And this is a disgusting behavior, this ambassador. I mean, just shocking. So do have a look at that link. Do seriously consider coming to the event and really realizing how much your work in this world to prevent this war that there are some people hell-bent on creating. And unfortunately, or maybe it's because that's maybe exactly why I'm here, 2.5 miles from the City of London, because the energy of love and the energy of commitment that's in me can help with these things. That's the same with us all. Let's carry on listening to Helga Zepp-LaRouche, wonderful woman.
It's more like, an announcement of a false flag operation. So I think this is quite incredible. The British Foreign Office immediately, tried to calm the situation down by saying, we expect our ambassadors to give candid reports. That doesn't mean we share the same view, but basically we have excellent relations with the White House and they will not be heard. Now that remains to be seen, because remember that Trump was completely aware of the role of the British in the Russia Gate, and also at the speech he gave at the 4th of July at the Lincoln Memorial, he very vividly recounted that after all, the American Revolution was made against the British Empire, and he quoted Washington, saying that what was at stake was the life of millions of unborn children, and then he started to read from the Declaration of Independence. So I think what is quite interesting in this whole thing is that in many areas in the world, the role of the British as a destabilizing factor is becoming known. So whatever the reason was for this leak, which we will try to find out and discuss maybe later this week, but I think this is really showing you the not so nice face of diplomacy. And Nigel Farage naturally immediately said this ambassador should resign. He was a globalist. He should never have been in this post. So let's see what the reaction is from the Trump administration. But I think it will bring back into memory the whole role of the British in Russiagate, and that is a useful thing.
I thoroughly agree with Helga Zapp-LaRouche, and I think that maybe Trump has left this ambassador in that role. Well, I'm not quite sure whose position it is to put the ambassadors in. I would have thought it's British, but he did actually suggest that Nigel Farage should be ambassador. But President Trump knows what the British establishment are like, and to literally pull them out. And that, I think, is what he's done. It's interesting to find out who has created the leaks. So let's get on with yeah.
And the British clearly have quite a bit to be concerned about following the Osaka summit. It looks as though what was set in motion, what you described last week as presidential diplomacy, is continuing. We see a lot coming from Putin, discussions between the U.S. and Russia. What do you know about these kinds of developments?
Well, I remember that last week we basically said this was not a spontaneous visit between Trump and Kim Jong-un at the demilitarized zone, and that is now indeed confirmed. The Japanese news agency Asahi Shimbun reports that this was indeed carefully prepared, that Trump early June wrote a letter to Kim Jong-un proposing such a meeting and then asking for a signal if such a policy would be welcomed. And then the answer of North Korea then was that in the letter of Trump there were very interesting proposals. So that basically was the green light. And then when Trump made this tweet, I want to come and say hello, naturally within hours this was then facilitated and this meeting took place. I must
Beautiful.
say this meeting was completely underreported in the West. I think that this was a groundbreaking historical meeting which should have been in the headlines for many days, because it is the potential to get rid of one of the most dangerous hotspots in the world, and it opens up the policy perspectives for a completely different relations, involving the United States, Russia, China, and then as a derivative of that, solving all the crisis spots potentially of the world. So this was and is a major event, and I think that we should keep discussing it, because that potential clearly keeps working. But as it was predictable, you immediately had also an escalation of countermeasures and counter moves, which I think have to be seen as the big historic fight between the old paradigm and the new paradigm.
Well, in the follow-up to these various summits, one of the things that's taking place is the U.S. Representative Begin and the South Korean envoy are heading to Europe. This seems to be quite significant, isn't it?
Yes, I think that they obviously want to inform Europe, Brussels, and Berlin in particular about this new arrangement. And I'm quite optimistic that eventually even the last person on the European continent, or maybe not everybody, but the majority of the political responsibles will understand that this is a historic chance. Now, very significant also in the aftermath of the meeting between Trump and Putin in Osaka, you have now the resumption of strategic discussions in Geneva, where from the Russian side it is Sergei Ryabkov, the Deputy Foreign Minister, and from the US side it's the Undersecretary of State Andrea Thompson. And Ryabkov said we should not only have such meetings in crisis times, but there should be a structured process of such discussions. So I think this is very valuable because, this was lacking the whole time, that you had these kinds of discussions between the United States and Russia. And, one can clearly see which politicians and which forces are following the lead of Trump and Putin, and which forces inside the United States and naturally Great Britain are trying their very best to derail these incredible efforts. So I think this is a very important guideline how to judge the present strategic situation.
Also, as one of these flanks, President Putin was just in Rome for some important meetings.
Yes, I think this was also very important because, Putin met with Mattarella, the president, also with Conte, with the Pope, and especially in the meeting between Prime Minister Conte and Putin, they discussed a very important issue, namely how to stop the civil war and chaos in Libya. They are both calling for a political solution, which I think is very important because you can see that this combination of Italy and Russia are working towards a political, peaceful resolution of one of the most unsettled situations on the globe. And Putin did not miss the opportunity to remind people of who is responsible for the chaos in Libya. It was NATO and European aircrafts which bombed Libya at the time, leading to a complete loss of statehood, basically, of Libya. And now you have the official government in Libya and also General Haftar, and basically Putin is not backing Haftar, which some people had implied, but they're calling for a solution through negotiation. And it should be obvious that the situation in Libya is one of the absolute key problems to be solved if you want to have any kind of human solution to the refugee crisis. And I think that Russia and Italy are there playing a very important role. It is important in this context that Michele Geraci, who is after all the architect of the Italian-China policy, met with Putin, and both Putin and Geraci gave various interviews, and Geraci mentioned that Europe will become less and less worth talking about, which I think in light of what is going on with the wheelings and dealings around who should get what post, and that Italy plans to play a much more important role in the mediation between Europe and Eurasia, and that Europe will basically become part of Eurasia. And I think
I need to cut it off just there, only because I'm running out of time. Helga Zepp-LaRouche is a wonderful woman. She's the widow of Lyndon LaRouche, who recently died. I think he was 96 or 97. Wonderful man, and there's a great deal that you can find out on the LaRouche PAC website. I'll put the links in the description box as always, and do finish listening to this. We're almost halfway through. They've got a very good handle on understanding foibles of the British establishment. the BBC News, which of course is a propaganda machine. God bless everyone. Stay well and do the thing you love to do. Okay, bye-bye.